Is it really a big deal that they're racing super lates and modifieds in a dome in St. Louis, or that there's 30, 40, whatever super lates and pro lates in Florida trying to qualify for a big giant race down there? Does any of that really matter for us front wheel drive guys? Like, why should we pay attention to any of it if we don't actually care about any of that stuff? Like what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, I seen a couple comments and it made me think about it. And so I thought we'd make it into a topic tonight about why we should care about these big races that are happening that we can watch on Flow and, all that, which again, you can't see it, but I do have Flow on my TV right here. Currently, you're not missing much because a car went through the fence at the Gateway Nationals, and uh, they were, which actually apparently that was the guy they were just talking to. Obviously, I don't have sound on. I don't need a copyright strike, but they also just got done with qualifying at the Snowball Derby. Apparently, Ty Majeski is sitting on the pole right now, so I think they're all done with it. So he's sitting on the pole. But why should we care about these races if we're front wheel drive guys? Um, me personally, I like racing. I like watching racing. So I think these are neat events. A standalone, dirt race in a dome, I think is pretty cool. So I'm going to want to pay attention to it. Um, the Snowball Derby, I mean, it's a historical race. A lot of really giant names in it. I think it's a cool race. So I just like to watch it, right? If you like racing, you probably like to watch them too. But if you're like a lot of people that I've met, where you're like, man, I race a front wheel drive. Why should I care about these guys? Right? I can understand that. What's up, Chucky? But here's some stuff to think about. Okay. Here's my opinion on why you should care. Why you should care if these events do well. Because look, I get it. They were showing the infield of the Snowball Derby just a minute ago because I was while they're fixing the fence and I was getting set up, I was flipped it over to the Derby. And they're all toter homes with stacker trailers behind it, and the pit boxes that a lot of these guys are rolling out cost more than some of these cars. Um, I get that, and I was watching Move In Day at the Gateway Nationals, and there's a bunch of toter homes pulling stacker trailers with pit boxes that cost more than a lot of our cars. That's it is absolutely fair to say that there are $1 million operations at these two racetracks. It's absolutely fair to say. They're easily some of these tow rigs, trucks, and trailers and that are well over $500,000 if you buy them new. Um, even the low budget guys are still driving brand new $100,000 trucks that look like, right? There's not a lot of low budget $5,000 cars at these places, right? So I can understand the sentiment of why should I care about these guys? Why I don't whatever, why, right? Well, here's just a couple things to think about. Okay. Whilst yes, we are a niche inside of stock car racing, which is a niche inside of racing, which is a niche inside of automobiles, right? Front wheel drive racing depends on every part of stock car racing. These big events can give you a really good look into how the sport of racing is doing. Um, the Snowball Derby this year is hurting for cars. I seen a post um, where the Bill Bigley, I think it was Memorial, just happened at Freedom Factory last weekend before. It only paid 20 grand to win. I'm going off memory on this if some of these details are slightly fuzzy, but it only paid 20K to win. And I think it paid less to start than the Derby did. But you weren't allowed, they didn't have a week of practice. You didn't have a lot of these week long practice. You have guys burning through all the tires. Some of the people that commented under it said that they only went through 2 sets of tires. Um, They had an entire practice session because I don't know exactly how this worked, but I did see somebody posting on there at the Freedom Factory deal that you had to race on scuffed tires. You couldn't qualify or race on brand new tires. And so they had a practice session where everybody in the field had brand new tires on and they went out and they ran 8 laps at basically pace speeds. And it was kind of fun to see because they were like 30 seconds off the pace. They were just super slow because they were just putting the mandatory laps on. Um, but they didn't have the expense of the tires. They didn't have all of that week of testing. But they had within 10 cars, I think it was 40, I think they had 41, and the Derby has like 46 cars. And it's the same car. It's not like it's a big difference. It's the same cars, the way I read it. But the Derby, they pay 50 grand to win now. They didn't change anybody else's money, but they changed the win money. But I'd seen, I don't even know who it was. It was somebody who's made a lot of money racing. Posted. Oh, oh, it was a late model guy that got kicked in the head the other Matt Tift. But it was him. He posted how he wanted to go run this race, but he didn't have 70 to $80,000 to rent a ride to go run that race because he doesn't own his own super late, and it just wasn't in the budget for 70, 80 grand to go run it. So if we see a race like the Snowball Derby, and some of you are like, Todd, you're kind of helping our cause here, man. 60 grand, 70 grand, 80 grand to go run that race. How's that? I don't see how that applies. If that race has a ton of racers who can and will spend, that will buy 12 sets of tires, that'll burn through all that gas, it'll burn through all that hotel and stuff. If we have a bunch of racers down there, it means racing's in a pretty good spot. It means that overall, our sport is doing pretty well. We've got guys and gals who can go to these events that can afford to race, can afford to travel, right? If everybody's sitting at home because they don't have money or they're scared to spend money, if companies are afraid to sponsor cars, if, promoters are afraid to put on big events, stuff like that, that's not good for racing in general. Um, you need big events, the marquee events to build awareness, to give somebody something to aspire to. Like, you need these big events. And if there's only 20 cars, like if they had 20 cars that showed up to the Derby and a bunch of people like, yeah, it's just too expensive and we can't afford that. And we're sitting back and couldn't find any sponsors and that means the value isn't there. The value isn't there for a team to go win this race. That race doesn't mean anything. Right. And it could just be that it doesn't mean $60,000 worth of exposures for a, um, a sponsor or something like that. Right. But it just means it's not worth that to somebody. And it's not worth going to. But if they have 100 cars and they're all willing to spend that money, that means that it's definitely worth that. It's worth people are watching it enough. Enough eyes are going to be on it. There's enough value there to it. And the more value that's there to a big race like that, the more that is going to translate to what we do. It's easier for me with the show talk, because I've talked to some of these big multinational corporations. I've gone out to MPMC and I've talked to them. And when they are doing well and they're selling parts and things are trending up, they're more willing to take a chance on guys like you and me. I don't have that big a following. You guys are loyal. Front wheel drive racers are loyal. Like I have bigger numbers and bigger sales numbers for some of the um some of the companies that I've partnered with. We sell a lot of driven oil for what we are. But at the same time, though, somebody's not going to take the chance on me and you guys and trying to sell to you guys if they're not able to sell to the super late guys, right? But if this value is there for others, they're going to take a chance on helping me and then translates to you. They want to sell parts to you, right? Because that's what, let's be honest, that's what sponsorships and partnerships and that are. Like if a company gives me product to use in a video or something, it's because they hope you buy that product from them. That's what it is, right? But if, a race like the Gateway Nationals continues to build attendance numbers, continues to build viewership numbers, continues to build excitement in a town like St. Louis, which I could be wrong, but I don't think historically is known for racing, right? If mainstream media is picking this up, you know, if news stations and that are starting to pick up dirt track racing, because let's be honest, dirt track racing doesn't have the best optics as far as um, being the most sophisticated motorsport out there, which is insane to me because like the technology and money that into a traveling super late, but again, there's a stigma there, right? So if it goes more mainstream and more people are like, holy crap, this is an old football stadium and now they're racing cars in there. Oh, that's awesome. Let's check it out. Holy crap, that's awesome. Like, where could I go see that? It's going to translate into interest at a local level, and we see it again. Funny enough, I seen three separate posts today about, compacts at the front wheel drive or bang bang or compacts at the dome or bang bangers and street stocks to put on a better show and blah, blah, blah. You know, it is, it's three separate posts, right? But a big show like this doing well could translate into something like that for front wheel drives. Yeah, maybe not at the dome, right? But the more interest there is in racing, the more interest in us. It's gonna translate, right? It is so no, this race doesn't directly do anything for front wheel drive guys. Nobody is gonna tune into Flow Racing and go, I wish there was a bunch of Honda Civics up there. I mean, well, except for us, right? But somebody might tune into Flow because, like, look, I've got a Flow Racing account now, right? And I can watch the national, Gateway Nationals. I watch Snowball Derby. The third other event, which is live under racing, is a pro mod race. So if somebody's tuning in and they got to go past the Gateway Dirt Nationals and the Snowball Derby to get to their drag racing content. Maybe they'll click in. Maybe they're like me. Maybe there's a big oil down, and so they're tuned into this for a minute. And granted, if they're watching them fix the fence, but if they tune into the dome and they see these guys tearing the entire rear deck off these cars, all hyped up, all goofy looking. Because listen, you guys can say what you want. The amount of people, they're so beautiful, dude. Dirt late models look goofy. Which Rusty Schlenk is leading right now, and he's running all the. I think that's Rusty in the pink 91. I thought he had pink pillars this time though. That isn't his son, is it? Um, I should find a way to turn the subtitles on. Anyways, whoever the 91 is, I know it's the Dominator. It's a Schlenk. I know that much. But like they tune in here, like you look at this car, it is so dirt late models are so skewed and wonky, especially if you come from any other form of racing, right? The right front's way out here, the right rear's way back here. The bodies, like you guys seen that trend, I'm sure, where they mirror it so it looked like if they were turning right, and they don't even look right to you guys. Like, you know, so that's the thing is they look weird from other motorsports. If I tuned in and I was a SCCA guy, the kid leading. Okay, so it is Rusty's son, Carter, I think it is. So yeah, because I know Rusty and his son are racing. So yeah, so it's got to be Carter Schlenk. So yeah, but that's the thing is if somebody if somebody tunes in and there's these goofy looking cars and there's a 14-year-old kid and somebody tunes in here, they go, "Where can I watch it? Like this is dirt racing? Like this is dirt track racing? Holy crap, that's not what I thought. I thought it was just a bunch of hillbillies." Like, now that's gonna do some hillbilly stuff. It's a 5th mile dome, you know. But if somebody tunes into this, they're gonna want to try to go watch this. You know, like it's insane how things like this can translate into people wanting to watch, people wanting to see what we're doing as a sport. And so, no, watching Carter Schlenk lead at the Dome might not translate into somebody wanting to come watch me run a Dodge Neon around any local track, but it might translate into somebody coming and watching at, anywhere else, any other track, you know. So, no, I don't think that these races directly are an indication of how front wheel drive racing is going to be in the next year. But I think if you pay attention to them, there are some big lessons that you can learn in helping tracks and series. And I think that you can get a fairly decent. The Dome is slightly different than Snowball Derby in this regard, though. The Dome is an invite race, so car count, you know, sorry, they're driving by the track packing guy pulling the tractor, and the Packer sled was trying to go sideways, and you could watch the tire on it cambering. But this one, they're limited to X amount of cars. I don't remember exactly what it is, so they're only allowed so many cars. Whereas the Derby, anybody shows up is welcome to try and get in. And so it's just a case of the Derby is a little bit more indicative of how things could go, whereas the Gateway Nationals, you know, they're only X amount of cars are only going to get in anyway. So their car count's going to be full for, yeah. I would say that I don't think I'd want to watch sprint cars around the Dome. I think midgets could be pretty cool, kind of like a Chili Bowl kind of deal. Um, we can wrap Chili Bowl up in this too. Chili Bowl's one that, yeah, it's different because it's all, midget cars, but at the same token, if they're getting if they continue to have record attendance, there's a decent chance that you're going to see how that can translate because more racers are racing, more people are trying to race, that's going to translate down into our stuff. So, yeah, I think these big races are definitely one that we should keep on our radar as far as how things are going. But sometimes it's cool just to enjoy races because they're pretty cool. As Tabby said it earlier, um, they're super lates on a 5th mile dirt track on a football stadium. So, yeah. But what do you guys think? Am I way off on here? This one wasn't. Not a lot of people stuck around for this one. This one wasn't all that controversial. So our numbers aren't huge, which is fine. I Tonight was gonna be a quick show anyway. So we're gonna do something tomorrow from the shop though. I'm gonna be out there working, rearranging it. I'm gonna try to find something tech wise that we can do out of the shop tomorrow. It might be a little cold, but we're gonna do something from the shop out there. And we do have a couple guests, or a couple subscribers who've said they wanted to be guests. So we're gonna be trying to get things all lined up with them. So I'm also watching just a second here in the crowd as they're going around. Gonna see yeah. I'm trying to watch because I probably have 6, 8, 10 friends who are all down at the Dome. So I'm just kind of watching to see if I see any. One friend of mine, well, a couple friends. It's a friend of mine and her brother are down, and they made it on. Um, they made it on Flow earlier. So her son was trying to get on Flow and danced around, so they made it on there. So just seeing if I knew anybody. Between the Dome and the Snowball Derby, I probably have 20, 25 friends between these two races that are down helping, watching. I don't have a whole lot of, super late driver friends. So not a bunch of drivers down there, but a lot of friends watching and helping. So yeah. And yeah, make it a second season in the winter, dude. That's the thing is you'll be able to tell if I ever hit that, $900 million lottery, because I probably I'd build a pavement track, but I'd build an indoor pavement track, you know, I think you could do it. I think you could build a large enough, put a pavement track, and just have an indoor. You could do indoor racing and stuff like that. So, um, I'll take a look, James. I have been a little bit busy the last couple days. I do have a couple messages to catch up on. I know that. So, yeah, don't want TV, snowball on the laptop, and Todd on the phone. Hey, I appreciate that, Trenton. I do. I get that all the time. A lot of people watch me on their phones. I get that quite a bit. Yeah, I initially, like I said, which by the way, that's kind of the extent of my conversation tonight. We can hang out for um a few minutes and talk. So, what is the car count tonight at All Tech, Jason? I wasn't able to look. I'm really hopeful for Paul, but he's fighting a massive uphill battle. Um, and I think he is going to. I think it's going to be a good race, and I think he's going to do as well as he can. But I wish the best for him. I really do. Yeah, 22. 22 cars is not terrible. Um, so it's not terrible. So, Chef Klinkfist tried to do a race at Dog Hollow a few years ago, and had 3 guys show up. So it's hard to promote a race. It really is. That's one part of the reason why I haven't yet. I have an idea for a race. I'm not going to talk about it. I have a tendency to ideas that I talk about that I don't act upon right away. They tend to get done by other people. I have a lot of good ideas. And this is one the race I want to do. I don't want anybody to take it. So, um, yeah. Actually, funny enough, so on the side of Schlenk's car, on the left side is Butler Motor Speedway. That is actually Butler Motor Speedway. It's here in Michigan. Believe it or not, that is actually the first racetrack I ever remember going to watch at. So my mom's cousin, mom's relatives, used to race out there. Used to race. They called them Detroit Iron back in the day. It was basically factory stock, pure stock. And we went when I was younger. We went, I think, twice out there to watch them. So it's the first racetrack I ever remember watching at. And I've been back, 3, 4 times to watch. So I have friends that race there, but not a big dirt guy. So I haven't raced it myself. So I will say this. So I had this idea, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong. Or some of you guys might be able to enlighten me. I don't know a ton about dirt late model body rules. Okay. But is there a rule that says the right rear quarter panel and or like the deck lid have to be like the angle that they're at? Like, do they have to be straight and sticking out? Now, I understand I go to a big track. I want that. I understand the aerodynamics of having it flat and having it out there. But I'm watching these guys and I'm watching some of the racing and the clips that they've had. And I'm curious if instead of, so right now, the rear of these cars, this is my right hand. So we're going to say it's the right side. And this is the left side. They're kind of kicked like this. So the right rear, this is the tire down to the bottom. So they go out, the deck lid is kind of moved over, you know. What would stop you from doing this? And the reason I ask, this is the idea that I had. It seems like as this race goes on and the cushion, gets up there, right? And they're trying to hit it. If they could angle that from the tire back, they could get higher up into the cushion without just destroying the bodies on it, right? So, is there a rule that says they can't do that where they could kick, and even if they left the left straight but curl the right in, that way where the tire is as it comes up to the wall, you could get more of an angle on it on the wall, get the tires closer into the dirt as opposed to tearing the body off from it. Man, if you guys are watching this, the red and yellow 81's putting it up on the cushion. Everybody else is running the bottom. he might actually do something. We'll see if he can get a run. Nah, he's not going to get it that good a run on Hoffman. Um, but like, I'm just curious about that. If they could do that, like, is there something in the rules? And again, I don't know the body rules on a dirt late model. Um, so I don't know if that's if that would work. Um, so it's supposed to be the last few years have been a gray area. Moran's car looked like the whole rear sticks out. It's kind of opposite what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I'm watching this one like Schlink's here. Like like I couldn't tell if it had been tapped around at all. Um, yeah, they definitely like the whole right side of the body is very straight, but that rear is and it's that way. Like I understand the arrow of it on a bigger track. You want that whole right side, when they go down the track and they get it sideways, they're trying to lay the right side on the track. They're trying to seal the nose off the track, trying to seal the right side off the track. And it's just a big billboard for, weight pushing against or air pushing against it. As somebody who's done a lot of the aero stuff, I understand it. I really do. However, I'm just curious because I don't believe the aerodynamics of that right rear plays any part in going fast at the dome. I don't believe it does. I could be led to believe either way about the spoiler because obviously some of these guys have beaten the spoiler off them and they're still running up front. But I don't believe that the straightness of that right rear has any difference, right? So I'm just curious if you angled that in so that you could effectively run. I drew a 6. So win the heat race, draw a 6. I mean, still, congrats to the kid, 14-year-old kid. So I don't know if that's the family or not, but now they're showing somebody in a bunch of pink Schlenk gear. So I'm just curious, and maybe I'll have to ask somebody that's you know more into that world. But I just, yeah, it makes sense to me to angle it so that they could put the right rear closer to the wall. But yeah, so anyways, that's what I got for you guys tonight. We went live. Tomorrow, we are going to go live from the shop. We're going to do something tech wise. I'm going to figure out something. We're going to get some props. We're going to talk tech tomorrow. So that's the plan. I'm going to hang out in here for a bit. My kids should be just in bed. Wife told me she's going to text them when they get up. We got to go through Christmas presents. Because I got the kids some stuff, but I don't know if I have it. Gotta make sure it's even. Um, completely removed the breakaway part of the spoilers. Yeah, I have noticed that there are some guys who don't run that small right breakaway spoiler part, which makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah, here's one. Whoever the 17. Okay, so the 17 is doing a little. They're doing what I'm talking about. This is what we're doing for a few minutes. This is the last super late race. It's a I don't know names very well. It'll pop up here in a minute. I'm Brandon. I'm telling you right now, brother. I'm watching the dome currently. You can't see it in my glasses. That's my computer. But up here, I have a TV that I was planning on using as a monitor to this, but it's a smart one, so I've got Flow on it. It's just above my camera, and I currently have the dome race on it right now. But whoever's in the 17, oh, is that Howes or Hose, Howes? So he had the right rear when he came out. It was exactly how I talked about. It was out at the wheel and in towards the back. He had the support, but he was missing the chunk for the spoiler. And I mean, he just ran it into the side of the 71 of Hudson O'Neill there. So it's all smashed in a little bit extra anyway. But he had that where it was angled the same way I was just talking about. So, got together Hudson O'Neill almost around. I also love watching which by the way, I think what we're going to do is I think I'm going to end this here in just a minute and we're going to do a watch party in the subscriber group. I'm just going to go live and watch the race and we can talk about it. So, if you're watching the dome and you can watch me at the same time and you're a subscriber, we'll be over there in a few minutes. Yeah. So, yeah. And dirt racing, meh. Snowball though, heck yeah. Honestly, like, oh, you were probably asking Brandon. You probably were responding to Steve. Yeah, I honestly I like watching both. I'll be dead honest with you guys and gals. Hold on, I gotta pause that. I gotta mute that again. I do not want a copyright strike on here. I'll be honest with you. I like watching dirt racing when there's passing. I have been to a lot of dirt races. I've watched a lot of dirt races where, and this is the part that some people don't agree with me on. Um, Setting lineups through heat races and qualifying, it's boring as heck to me. I have been to plenty of dirt races where I could have left after the heat race and told you who won. Um, and I don't like it. That's the part I don't like. Watching watching a fast guy, start pole of the heat race. So Schlenk drew a 6, this guy drew a 5. They start pole of the heat race. Fast guy starts pole of the heat race, drives away from it. Starts pole of the feature, drives away from it. Um, and there's just nothing. There's just no passing. Um, I can't. I don't like it. I can't stand it. I want to see people pass people. And I like that about most asphalt racing is there's some sort of invert typically. And I like this style where they're drawn for position and stuff. But man, even pavement races that don't draw for position that start straight up. It's not NASCAR. Like invert the field. And the funny thing is there's people out there advocating that that's the terrible way to do it, and it's not good for the fans. It's just a wreck fest. It's not. It absolutely is not. I am all for inverts. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna tell you guys and gals good night. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And I am going to go live in my subscriber group over on Facebook. And yeah, we're just gonna do a little mini watch party. I'm gonna talk about the dome while it's on, and if anybody else is watching, we can discuss it together. And if not, come hang out with me. So thank y'all for being here. Tomorrow we will be live from the garage. It is Saturday. We're going to try to do it a little bit earlier. My kids want me to put them to bed tomorrow night. So we're going to try to do it a little bit earlier. We'll have something techie going on. So yeah, we'll see you tomorrow.